Beautiful day, and I'm working on a project that I thought would be really beneficial to all of you. So here we are. Hello, I'm Tori. I'm the Crafty Girl. I do a lot of things with yarn currently. And yeah, I'm here in Spokane, Washington. It's the first amazing day we had. I was out pulling weeds until I came back downstairs because we're going to be working. Let me show you what we're working on. In fact, let me get the computer. How is everyone doing today? How is your weather? Let me know. Again, I didn't plan. I didn't do a lot of planning for this. So it's going to be kind of all over the place. But what we are going to be doing is I'm going to show you how to use a circular knitting machine. Specifically in the circular knitting machine, we are going to look at panels, and panels are historically one of the more challenging techniques to use with your what with your knitting machine. Yeah, y'all, I don't have any makeup on. I did shower and wash my hair, I will say that. So we're good there. So let me just pull up the chat really fast. Like I said, I just did it. Here we go. Everyone's here. Hello, 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 hello. Okay, so let me show you what we are going to be working on. I already started this, but let me show you this week. I've done a lot of different projects. I made a few different designs. Here is what we are going to kind of emulate. In fact, we're not making this. This is something that I made a couple days ago. This is just a drop stitch, what would you call this? Cover up? Like a winter cover up, or summer cover up. And you can see, it's just two long panels. That's all this is. Two long panels using drop stitches. And then I just stitched it up at the sides. And then I also stitched it down the back, okay? And then I painstakingly added a bunch of fringe. So that was the hardest part with this style. But you can totally make one of these. I would say give yourself a couple hours because the stitching and the fringe in particular. But what we are going to be doing, we're going to be using Bralette blanket yarn. This yarn, oh my goodness. Okay. So I got this yarn. I got a whole entire giant thing of this Bralette baby blanket yarn. $8, and I think I got like at least 8 skeins of it. So I decided I would try it in the circular knitting machine, and I made her, and I was so happy. I actually put her on and did a photo shoot, which I have not done in a minute. But this is how the front looks, and then our little back looks like this. So this is actually a pattern that I have over on Etsy. It's called the Summer Breeze Bralette. We're gonna take that, but I'm going to be changing it up just a little bit. But the point of this live is because y'all are always asking me on tips and tricks on how to work with panels. So I'm gonna show you while we're together. It helps motivate me. So I've already done this side over here. So this is the same exact pattern. This pattern is super flexible. I would say it fits this size right here, like extra small to medium. In the pattern itself, there also is a way to extend it so it'll fit more of like the medium to large, extra large. So definitely flexible, and you can add width and stuff as you need to. But this yarn is so fantastic. It is so soft, and it has a lot of coverage. So that's really cool. And it goes through the machine, which makes me super happy. So with this one, I did things a little bit differently. I actually started with a really long tail. And the reason for that is I'm actually going to be doing that same crisscross technique on this top on both sides. So we'll be able to have these attached. You won't have to go back and attach them later. And then I think I'm going to add a panel down here to kind of have more of that like handkerchief top, maybe just an open back. We'll see. But anyway, with that said, what you want to see is the circular knitting machine. So let's do it. We're coming down. So it's not such a disaster. Luckily, you're just looking at my desk here. Well, one of my desks. How many desks do you have in your craft room? Just how many? Because I will tell you, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I have 6 desks down here. All of them are holding something a little bit different. Okay, cool. So everyone can see. It's kind of shadowy though. I don't like the shadows. That makes it hard to see. if I can move some lights around. And I am in Spokane, Washington. I'm working out of my my office, which is a basement. So if it is really dark down here, I'm always trying to adjust for lighting. It's just a challenge. It's just a challenge. Okay, so let's pause for a second and check the. Let me check the chat. Look at the chat. Hey Liv, hello. All right. Ooh, really fluffy yarn. You made it with a scarf. Yes, it's so cool. So we're gonna start this pattern. Like I said, I do have a video that is available telling you how to go through this. So if you look in my knitting machine project tutorials, you'll have the whole tutorial on how to do it. But again, if you want to support the channel, or if you are someone who needs a written panel, I am, or a written project, this helps me so I can like mark it off as I go. This is what the, if you can see, this is what the actual pattern looks like. But of course I am going to be adjusting it to for this project here. So we are going to start. I don't actually need a very long tail for this because this is going to be the string, the, what do you call that? The tie, as it were. And we're working with panels. I'm going to get all the way back around here. So for those of you that are new to circular knitting machines, this gal right here is the Addy 46 King. She is a 46 pin. That's the largest the Addy machine makes. They're a little pricey. You can find them between $150 and $250, really, if you look on sale. And they last a really long time. I've been using her for a couple of years very consistently, and I have had 0 issues. She does come with a row counter, which makes life easier, except when you're working with panels, because when you're working with panels, guess what? You're not really going to be able to use your row counter. So first thing we're going to do for this project, we are actually going to be starting. We don't want to start down here by the row counter because we need to have enough space to expand, because we're also going to not only be doing panels, but we're going to be doing increases. That's how we're going to get that little triangle top piece so that you can make your bralette or tank top, whatever style you're looking for. So for this size, we're only going to be using a total, once we've done all of our increases, of 20 pins. That is it. So as long as wherever you start, you're going to have at least 20 pins, you should be sufficient if you're making the size. If you're making a little bit bigger size, which again, I give information for in the pattern, you'll just have to adjust as necessary. So we're gonna again cast on. We don't need waste yarn or anything like that because we're going to be making a 2-pin tail, a 2-pin tail. That's it. You just need 2 pins. And my nails are horrific, by the way, everybody. Luckily the hubs got me some nail polish remover today. So just sorry if it's distracting. Oh, speaking of the hubs, happy Mother's Day to everybody. That wasn't speaking of the hubs, but the Anchor 24 is here in the chat. They are our fearless mod. They are here to answer questions if I get lost in the moment or if I miss anything. So also they're here to keep the peace. This is a channel that is very inclusive. We are very focused on, diversity. And so we will not tolerate any hate or negativity on this channel whatsoever. So I just want to give you that heads up. And the Anchor 24 will be moderating that while he's watching his favorite soccer team play right now, the Seattle Sounders. All right, with all of that prelude, we are going to start by, first thing you want to do is you're going to take your tail and you're just putting it under a pin next to the 2 that you're using. And that just helps hold it in place so it doesn't slip around, because you do want these to be pretty tight. Now with this fluffy yarn, with this Bralette baby blanket yarn, it is so forgiving. It is so forgiving. So we have it under this pin right here. And whenever you're working with the circular knitting machine, you have to cast onto your machine. You can't just start cranking and hoping it works. You have to cast on. We're only using 2 pins. So what that looks like is we're going to go behind this pin and in front of that pin. Those are our 2 pins. That's it. Super simple. But then what we need to do is take the tail, okay, and we're going to put it into our yarn guide. Close that on up. So making sure we have 1, 2, 4 panels. You do need to make sure that your yarn that's right here which you cannot see at all, there we go. The yarn that is right here needs to go, I want you to watch that right there, needs to go under the bumper. Okay, so that means it's safe to continue. So we just did, that's one. Now, I cannot lose count. If I lose count, this is going to be a totally different size than the others. So I'm going to do this in increments so that my brain will not forget. So we just did our first row. We're going to hold on to the yarn. In fact, let me kind of switch a little bit here. So we're going to hold on to the yarn just to give it some tension because we do want to make sure that it's tight. So we did one, and now we're going to come back. We're going to just hold it so that it does have that tension, and you're passing by those 2 pins right there. Make sure that goes under the bumper, and that's row 2. Then we're going to go again, holding onto that yarn, making sure everything pops down. We're at 3. We're going to come back, make sure everything goes down, and now we're at 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there so I don't lose count. In fact, where's my pencil and my pad of paper so that I don't lose count with my ADHD brain? We just did 10 rows. And feel free, you can stop and ask questions at any time. Again, I just jumped on here kind of last minute just to show you, since I'm going to be doing this anyway. So we're going to actually go for 250 rows. So this is going to get pretty monotonous, and I wish there was music. I wish we could make this a little more exciting. But this is just another technique that you can use to make sure that you get like those really nice, tight tails that you can use for straps, that kind of thing. So let me just check in here. And the hubs brings up, so tomorrow we are shooting a commercial for Grrl, which is kind of a weird thing. If you are brand new here, this is not something that we've ever done in the past, but we will be doing that, and I'll bring you along for the ride as we do. And then I'm doing a print ad for them for Halloween as well at the end of the week. So we just did 10. Let's just do another 10 here. Most important with panels is just make sure everything goes down on your pins, especially with this fluffy yarn, with thicker yarn, and with cotton. It's going to tend to want to stay up here. It gets stuck up here. So just make sure you're constantly pushing those down. So after we knit this strap, then what we're going to do is we're going to start creating that triangle shape. So we're going to increase and we're going to spread it out. So if you stick around for a little bit, you'll be able to see that piece here. Again, if you do have any questions with panels, feel free to ask. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. All right, so we just did 20. Now I'm going to show you here. You can see this is what we've knit so far. It is not going to stay this size. I'm going to show you what's going to happen. We're going to pull it. It's like a little caterpillar, like those little fun caterpillars we used to play with as a kid. Oh, okay. I don't know if anyone else played with those as a kid, but I love those little caterpillars. So now this is the size. So this is 20 rows. I think this is 20 rows. Did we just do 20 rows? I told you I was going to get distracted. I think we just did 20. So this is 20 rows, which is why we're going to do 250 rows, because we need this to be long enough to go around the neck and also crisscross the back. So once you pull it, it should help with the bunching, and it should help keep it down a little bit. 20. 21. 22. 23. Okay, so now we're at 40. We're going to give that a tug. Again, look, it just expands so much. So that is 40. Let me just write this down again so I don't forget if I can find my pencil. So just reminding myself that we are now on 40 rows. One other thing I will tell you, this wasn't happening this morning, but it really is taking a lot of effort to pull on here. So I am going to, let me see. I use these quite regularly when I'm working with like cotton and other a little bit harder to use yarns on the machine. So I'm going to try this, since it's okay if it stretches it out a little, but it just adds a little bit of weight on there and that might keep it down for us. So we just did 40. Let's do another 20 more. Okay, and that actually did help significantly. So we are at 60. I'm just going to pop this back in and we will just continue. So it definitely makes a big difference. Okay, so we just got to 80. And we'll come back up. And there's a little piece in here. So 80. All right, so this is definitely making a huge impact and it's going really quickly. So if you're just popping in, we are making the initial strap. Then we are going to build out a bralette that is going to kind of mirror, that's going to look something similar to this. So we just did 100 rows, so we're just going to continue on. Okay, let me write this down. Awesome. And I know it doesn't get very exciting until we start building in the increases, but it is a really cool thing we could do. What is right now? 30. Okay. 30.
All right, just 50 more rows, y'all, and then we will be able to actually start building out the top. All right, so that is 250 rows. So that is the most boring part of this. So now when we give this a nice little tug, you'll see all of those little stretch marks that we made with the weight are now gone. We can also see that it's a lot more secure than, say, doing a single crochet, which is why I love doing this method. And plus, it already attaches it to the top of the bralette. So then you don't have to worry about joins and ensuring that you have a really secure fit because it's part of the top. So now that we have done that piece, it's time to start the actual cup portion. So with the cup portion, I don't think we'll need this, so let's just put that out of the way. With the cup portion, we are going to go 4 rows without increases, and then we're going to start the increases. So how this is going to work. And again, if you're new to the circular knitting machine, it's more than what you see out there with people making beanies all the time or scarves all the time. There are so many cool things you can do. If you are a creative person, maybe you have a background in crochet or sewing or knitting, you can combine all of those skills with this little tool right here to create some really cool things. I am a clothing designer. That is what I do. I love it. And when it comes to, combining that with working with the circular knitting machine, it's just crazy. It's just crazy what we can make. So we are going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. The next round is an increase. So we are going to go 1, 2, and we're going to add a new pin. So this is row 5. So we're going to go all the way across till that pops down. And that row 5 just added a new pin. We're going to add a pin to the other side. So that's 5. We're going to add a pin over here. That's 6. And we're going to keep increasing for a little bit. So add another pin, that's 7. Add another pin, that's 8. Add another pin, that's 9. 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. And this is our last row of increases for a moment. And 18. All right, so you'll see that we are starting to get this triangular shape. And once it comes off of the machine and it's stretched out, that will give us that bralette cup piece of it. So these are just the first 18 rows. We actually are going to go a total of 40, and we do have a couple more increases to do. So we've done 18 rows. We're going to do 2 rows without increases. Oop, so make sure that goes under there. 19 and 20. Then we're going to do 2 more increases. That's 21 with an increase. 22 with an increase. Then we're going to do 3 rows without an increase. It's 22. Here we go. 23. 24. Oh, careful. And that can happen. There we go. Don't want that to pop off. And so that was 24. And I think this is last round is 25. Just goes down there. Okay, so that was 25. Actually, we can confirm. So this is why I have this pattern. I'm just going to put this down because I'll lose my train of thought. So on the pattern, I also have, if I just did row 25, I should have 18 pins. Oh, I guess that wouldn't matter. So I would have 18 pins if I did 23, 24, 25. So that's not really going to help me. But I think I just did 25. So now we're going to do another increase for row 26 and 27. And these are going to be the last increases we do. So come back down here. There's an increase 26. Increase 27. And then we'll just do 28. So now we're just going to go to row 40 without any more increases. 29. 30, 31, 32, 33, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 39. I have one more row. And this is special. I'm using my backup phone. So I'm using my, oh, that was not even what that was. And I'm going to do a quick little video because I'm trying to multitask here. I'm trying to multitask. It's always good to multitask. Trying to do many things at one time. There we go. We'll go with that. Okay. And this is our last row here. Okay, now we are going to cast off with waist yarn because we're going to come back through and do a single crochet to pick up our live stitches. For those of you that are not fans of crochet or don't feel comfortable with it, you can just take your yarn tail right here, and once you take your yarn tail, you'll be able to pick up all of these just using a darning needle. It won't look as clean, but it is another way to do this. So we're going to take this off, put it to the side, and we are going to add our waist yarn. Waist yarn, if you are unfamiliar, waist yarn is just another contrasting color yarn that is going to be used to pick up all the loops so that we can get a really clean finish later on. My camera's frozen? Yep. That's weird. Oh. Okay, is it back? What is it doing? The computer. Is it back? Okay, it's back. Oh, technology. Technology, technology. I'm watching this show right now. If anyone else has seen this, it's called Travelers. And I'm really sad there's only 3 seasons. And I'm coming up on starting season 3, and I'm just really sad because it's so good, but it's really about how technology in the future runs everything, and time travelers come back to Earth, and it's pretty awesome. I'm just sad that it was canceled before I found it. Okay, so here's one of our pieces. Now, this is gonna look funny because it looks tiny, right? You're like, how is this gonna fit over someone's chest, right? Like this looks tiny. Well, with all of our circular knitting machine projects, once you pull them, that's when magic happens. So when you stretch it, the fibers in the yarn will actually stretch. And with this yarn specifically, the Bralette blanket yarn, it just, look at that. It just stretches right out. So very nice, very nice. But we need to pick up these loops down here at the bottom and just finish this off. So another question that I get pretty regularly is, if you take off the waste yarn right now without doing anything, will your project unravel? The answer is yes, because the whole point of waste yarn is to help you identify all of these live loops so that you can come back and pick them up with either crochet or knitting. I know some people combine this with knitting, which I just I've never done knitting before. One day. I have some knitting needles that I got at the thrift store, so one day. So I'm going to do a single crochet across the bottom. I have done a slip stitch in the past. It does give it a little bit of support, but since I'm adding a second, well, I guess a third piece to the very bottom, I don't really need to have just a slip stitch. So we're going to come in, pick up the loop, yarn over, and pull through. So literally just what you're familiar with if you crochet, just a single crochet. Making sure we pick up all of those loops. And this is a really fast project. So you'll see it takes some time, obviously, to knit the pieces. But for the bralette itself, you only need 2 pieces. Okay, so once you get those 2, you just stitch up the front and you're done. There's not a lot of finishing that needs to be done to it. You could customize it and add, you know, some fringe to the bottom, which I love fringe, but it definitely takes a long time. So it can be a very quick, I would say 2 hours. 2 hours is a very realistic time to be able to create one of these. And as the weather starts warming up wherever you are, you might say, hey, one day I would like to wear just a little bralette, maybe with some shorts, in the sun. Enjoy my day. Okay, coming up on that last one here. It's always twisted. There we go. Okay, then we are going to remove our waste yarn because we're going to reuse this all the time. So now that we've picked up all of those loops, now we can just pull this off. Okay, put that to the side to use later. So here's what the bottom of this cup now is going to look like. So let's take it over to our mannequin. Let's see if we can put this together and kind of give you an idea for what this project is going to look like. Aubrey, hello. You're watching while you're knitting. Awesome. Like I was saying, I have not actually knit before, but I feel like I would love it. But another craft, right? Like, and there's so many crafts. Sorry, this is going to take a second. There's so many crafts that I want to get into, but my brain just like attaches onto them, and I won't be able to put it down. So I feel like I'm going to have to wait to learn knitting for a while.
Okay, so here we have, this is our first bralette cup that I did earlier today before we started. Here is the one we just made together. So it has that really long tail. Okay, we're gonna just pop this on here, start lining it up. And I work, again, because I do a lot of designing. I do wearables designing, clothing designing. So I work from mannequins. That's what is comfortable for me. But I know some people don't have a mannequin. Maybe you're working to someone else's shape, and you can do this on a table or wherever you have enough space. And sorry, I'm looking for something that I lost, which is not surprising. My pens. All right, so let's, okay, plop that in place. And I do like with this top, I like a little more coverage. So I am a modest, I'm a modest gal. I like to wear turtlenecks. I like to wear things that cover me up. That's what I'm comfortable with. So for me, I'm gonna stitch this together here. And that is exactly what I also did on this one here. I like to have that, like I said, a little bit more coverage, but you could just go to a point. In fact, let me show you. I've been making a number of these. Let me show you this one. This one's cute. Show you some other examples. So this one has that same coverage here. Let me show you here, but look how fun she is. So she, whoops, is made with Caron Simply Soft. So this is an acrylic. And then I just added this cotton little detail at the bottom. And then here's one that's just a plain old white one. This was kind of a sample that I made a long time ago, but it just has the V in the bottom. So you can customize this for whatever you're comfortable with, whichever you like. For me, what I'm going to end up doing, like I said, is I'm going to stitch those together. But let's go ahead and get this stretched here just so I can see the shape it's taking. It needs to go down a little bit more. Okay, so that will go there. So now, normally what I would do to finish this off, I would stitch here, and then you'll see, like I said, it's such an easy project. Now, all you have to do is come over to the side and loop it through here. You don't even have to create any channels. You could just, since it's knit, you can go through here wherever you need the most support, wherever you need the most side coverage. So you can go through here, and then you can go through here and then pull it over. But I had this vision earlier. I don't know if it's gonna, I don't know what's gonna happen, but we have this piece right here. Okay, so this is another piece that I made. This is just a panel that is 20 pins long. And remember, is that 20 pins long or is that 40 pins long? Hold on. It should be it's 40 pins. Oh my goodness, let me lose my brain. So it's 40 pins long because if you remember, for each of these cups, we ended with 20 pins. So if there's 20 pins here and there's 20 pins here, logically, you should be able to knit a panel with 40 pins and it should line up perfectly to your project. So this is where my brain is going. Now, I did something, I kind of regret it, but again, I look at everything as a happy accident. I did a slip stitch to the bottom because I didn't want to add anything. And because I did that, it's a little tighter. I can steam it, it'll loosen it a little bit, but I did a single crochet for the other side. So now I just have to decide which is going to be the best for attaching to the bralette. So we might, again, I'm gonna just pull this and see how far we can get it to stretch. Okay. So just bear with me while we play around, because this is, I usually do this, I drape my fabric or I drape my yarn and we see which is going to talk to us. Okay, so that is there. We're gonna pull this one. Yeah, that single crochet. See, okay, let me, if you can see what I'm pointing out here. So with the slip stitch, it doesn't quite, it has about an inch here where this is a single crochet, this is a slip stitch. So it's not quite long enough. And if you try to force it to go together, I feel like it's going to pucker in the center and I'm not gonna be happy with that. So we are just going to flip it to the other side, which is a single crochet. And we'll just put that in the same spot. Bring this one over, and yeah, see, that's it. Immediately you can tell that it's a much better fit.
so let's do that. Now it's gonna, again, I probably should not have done a slip stitch at the bottom, and that is one thing I'm going to regret. But maybe when it's on, it'll look okay. We never know. I also kind of think that it would be fun, this could be fun, to have this stitched together here and just have cutouts at the bottom. I don't know. I don't know. I could either stitch it all together and have this open back top with full coverage, which is something I would wear. But I also think it would be fun to just have these little cutouts. But I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? This is where my brain is going to go crazy. All right, well, what we'll start with is we're just going to start by stitching up the center, because either way, I'm going to stitch this together. So we'll just go ahead and do that. That'll be an easy piece of it. Also, another thing with this yarn, it's so forgiving that I do not have to do a mattress stitch down the center, because if I just do a little whip stitch and stitch it together, the fuzziness hides any issues. So that is one of my favorite things. So cutouts looks a little bit better. Cool. And the cutouts are easy. I mean, what I would probably do is I'm going to stitch this together with this tail. And then when I get to the top, I can just channel it through the back. And then we could always just tack it in place and see how it looks actually on. I'm not going to put it on. Again, like I said, I'm a modest gal. But we will see how it looks on the mannequin. All right, so I think I'm just going to do a whip stitch here. And by whip stitch, it's just like whipping it around, picking up one on each side. So picking up a stitch on each side, not pulling too tight so it doesn't bunch together. Oops, don't want it to fall out either. Oh my gosh, I'm okay, don't judge, but I have been listening to the new Taylor album on repeat. I cannot help it. I can't help myself. I wasn't sure if I liked it at first, and then I couldn't get songs out of my head. Okay, let's take off our pins. All right, let's do one more here and one more here. All right, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. All right, so then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back to the inside and I'm going to knot it so we don't have to worry about it coming out. Also, you have to be really careful with this yarn because it's delicate and fluffy. So if you yank on it too hard, it can certainly break. And, you know, you don't want that to happen on your project. All right, so we will channel the... Let me take one of these sides off here. So this is normally what I would be doing, just not on camera, but I figured I would bring y'all along for the journey today. Just because it's a nice day, I'm feeling good. I don't have a migraine, which is always excellent. So all I'm doing now is taking, this is what I would do anyway to hide this yarn tail, but we're going to take it down to the bottom. Again, not pulling because we don't want to have any puckering. I want this to lay pretty flat, but we'll pull it to there. And we know that's the center. So now we just want to align the rest of this, and I'll use a couple of stitch markers here. I threw them across the room. All right, so let's get this side. Oh, good, I have a working yarn. This is why I never cut my tails. I leave them attached to the yarn as much as I can, because again, the yarn is going to talk to me. It's going to tell me what it wants to do, how it looks. Okay, so if we do that with that up there, the only thing I'm concerned about with this piece is that it's going to do, you know, a little pooch. Now, there's nothing wrong with a pooch at all, right? There's nothing wrong with all of our bodies. Everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. But sometimes you don't want to accentuate that if you don't have to. And I feel like for me, with this yarn, I'm feeling like I want to do another panel and do it the right way. Can never tell. All right. And this is exactly what goes through my brain, by the way. And then I'll usually walk away and say, okay, come back to it when I'm in a position of making decisions. So you put that, yeah, and I think I am going to end up going with that right there. But I love it. And then the last thing that we'll do, so we're not going to finish this together here because I think that honestly, if it makes, it's going to make it look so much better if I do another one of these. But what we'll end up doing to finish it off, so again, we already have these long tails. We will just loop them through the top portion and then the bottom portion. And when you pull it back, it's like that apron style top. So then that way it'll be secure, right? But it'll tie, so you'll be able to adjust it for whatever fit you want. So that is what we are making. I see someone says it's a bikini. It's like a bikini. It's a bralette. You really wouldn't wear this in water. This is velvet. It'll absorb the water and probably would not be very comfortable. But if you were just laying out, if you were hanging out and you just wanted something nice and lightweight, this would be a good fit. Also, you can wear it with, I have all my strings over here. I don't want to mess them up. You can wear it. This is another version I made where I added some, what do you call these? Beads. So I just added a couple of beads to the top and then made this little drop stitch cover up that's super simple with the fringe. And then the back. And I wanted to show you the back on this one. So when I put this top on with this yarn, it does stretch a lot because it's velvet. And to give it a little bit more support, what I ended up doing is lacing it once through the top and once through the bottom. And then when it's tied in the back, you'll notice it does pull right here, so you get support underneath. And it does pull here, so you're going to get support on the side. So that gives you a little bit more of that modest coverage, so you don't have all of that showing. And that works best for me. But what you could also do is you could make this strap super long and you wouldn't need to have two. You could just pull this down and then crisscross it and have one tie. So it's really up to you, whichever you prefer when it comes to working with your patterns and designs. But what I really hope that I'm showing y'all is that circular knitting machines are for more than just what you're seeing out there. They're for more than just your beanies and your scarves, and there's nothing wrong with those at all, but there's so many things. I've been making a ton of different tops. I'm going to show you this one thing before we end our time together today. I don't think I showed this to you last time because I just finished it last week, but this is another top that I made recently with the circular knitting machine. I've actually been making a few with this design. This is with cotton, and I love that it's with cotton because with cotton, it's going to last longer. It's better for the environment. And it's really cool. And I really enjoyed this one. There was a lot of crochet happening at the bottom and on the sleeves or on the little straps, but this one is great. What I'm imagining is for Bridgerton, okay, is wearing a corset underneath this. Put a corset underneath this, put this over it, and then I can crochet because I still have more of this pink cotton that I thrifted. So what I'll do is I'll try to make like a big skirt, maybe, and then we could have like a little Bridgerton dress before it comes out in a few days. I should have been working on this forever, but ADHD, I don't do anything to the last minute. So everybody, thanks so much for joining. This was like that last minute live. Realistically, I think that me going live once a month is probably the most realistic, but summer's coming up and I tend to do a lot of traveling up to the cabin. So there may not be a lot of lives up there because we don't have cell phone service up at the cabin. But I will keep sharing patterns and designs with all of you and answering your questions as I do. And I appreciate every one of you joining. Happy Mother's Day for everyone out there in any situation that you're in. And yeah, have a wonderful Sunday. Hopefully you survive the cicadas and all the craziness that's going on out there. All right, bye everyone. Until next time, we will